9 teams came to Norman for only 2 spots to nationals. Their fans clearly arrived with them. 4 remain in the regional final with a trip to Fort Worth on the line here in Lloyd Noble Center. Here is how our regional, the Norman Regional, stacks up. It's the 8 and 9 seeds, Minnesota and Cal, with the top-ranked Oklahoma Sooners and Arkansas trying to play the role of spoiler. So the top left, you will see Minnesota. They start on vault. Top right is Cal. They are on bars. Bottom left, beam for Arkansas, where they had a little bit of trouble yesterday, but were able to pick it up at the end. And then Oklahoma will start out on floor. They are in the bottom right. First salute, lower left side, this is Arkansas's Callista Gamyao to get our competition started. The top 2 will go to Fort Worth. You do not need to win, you just need to finish top 2, and you have a spot in the NCAA Nationals.
Well, I had a chance. Oh, no.
Coming off a 9.775 in Thursday's competition, Gamyao, so Arkansas will hope to drop that score. Remember, 6 gymnasts go in NCAA gymnastics, only 5 scores count, so they won't necessarily be hurt by that. Gabby Perea getting Cal started well on the top right.
Balance beam is a very tricky event to begin this competition with. 1, because it's balance beam, and 2, because usually in a high pressure competition you have even more adrenaline, which is sometimes tough to settle into on an event like balance beam.
Minnesota top left, Gianna Gertis to start on vault. Just 1 step back, but Jenny Hansen is looking to keep this machine going just like Oklahoma. They're coming off a big score, 197.825. It was their highest in NCAA competition in program history. Bottom right, Belle Johnson for Oklahoma getting the show started.
And Alex, when we spoke to head coach of Oklahoma, KJ Kindler, she said a goal for them tonight is floor exercise. She said, we know we're starting on floor again, and she felt like they had a little nervous energy and they want to just relax and do what they do in practice.
That may be the case, but on Thursday night they had a 49.525 on floor, which I think a lot of coaches around the country would take. They are the 5th ranked team in the country on this apparatus.
You know, when she was telling us that, that's exactly what I thought. I thought it looked pretty good, but, you know, in KJ's mind, there is always something that could be improved, which is why I think we're seeing so much success with that team this year.
Yes, there is. 16th season for KJ Kindler, named the Big 12 Coach of the Year for the 11th time with the Sooners. She also said many were kind of counting out Oklahoma in terms of a potential national championship. They lost a lot, had some young gymnasts stepping into key roles, and it is just business as usual once again in Norman.
Take a look in the top left. This is Lexi Ramler, and she looks like she's getting her day started off right. Yurchenko 1.5, just a small little scoot. I wonder if the judges could even see that. It was such a small little slide, but great work for her. It's going to be a big number for Minnesota.
Yeah, Ramler is the reigning AAI award winner, which is basically the Heisman Trophy of gymnastics, the best of the year. You see Jenny Hansen in the top left, the head coach of Minnesota in her 7th season, coming off their 5th trip to nationals. They finished 8th, though, and I know for a fact the Golden Gophers are not only hoping to get back, but hoping to avenge that score as well. Bottom right, Carly Woodard to go 2nd for Oklahoma on floor. Belle Johnson scored a 9.875.
And
some scores now starting to come in.
And if you're looking in the bottom left, this is Kiara Gianfagna for Arkansas. And I think this might be the most important routine for them all night. First routine started off with a fall, so they don't need to count that, but everyone has to be on. So now Kiara needs to reset the tone for the team. And it's a job I think she can handle.
Maya Hooten in the top left as we wait on Ramler's score. Lexi's score just came in. What a start for Minnesota. That is 9.925. Gertis had a 9.8. And bottom left on beam, exactly what Gianfagna and the Razorbacks need it. It's going to be a tall road. There's no doubt about it that I think they're up against it in some ways against these three teams, all in the top 9 in the country, Sam, but you just never know, and you got to put your best foot forward and see what you got on tonight's performance.
Yeah, exactly what you said, and I had a chance to turn on the Raleigh Regional right before this, and I saw some nervous mistakes. You guys have to remember how much is on the line. These are 4 amazing teams, and any of these 4 teams could go. So every step, every handstand, and you know they're thinking about that, right, as they're saluting. Hopefully not, but you see some nervous, uncharacteristic mistakes creep in because of that.
Really hoping to drop Gamiao's 9.1. Gianfagna's score will certainly be higher than that as we wait for it. On bars on the top right, we await Andy Lee. Gabby Perea with a 9.85, Nevaeh D'Souza a 9.775 on bars for Cal. And look at the top left. Maddie Quarles just about stuck that one following Maya Houghton's 9.9.
Minnesota is on fire. Check out this vault. Another Yurchenko 1.5. Of course, this starts with a 10. Super straight arms on the table, which is what you want to see. And she just milks that landing. Way to go.
And on vault, Minnesota was on another level yesterday, a 49.525, or check that Thursday. I'm still trying to process the fact that finally we have a rest day in between the second round and the regional final. But a 49.525 is the best that Minnesota has ever done in the postseason on vault.
An excellent bar routine from Andy Lee I just saw from Cal in the top right. She stuck that landing too, and that's going to be the key for Cal because they already have really great technique, good lines, nice shapes in their release moves, so it's all about the landings for them.
Sam, you can see in the top right now, Chiara Gianfagna's score came in at a 9.825. That is a big help for the Razorbacks. Top right, one more replay of the dismount and stick from Andy Lee. Even though it's hard to take your eyes away from Oklahoma on the bottom right, want to direct your attention to the top left on vault. This is Anna Loper, and this is one that you don't want to miss. She is a finalist for the AAI award, tied for 4th in the country on vault this season, and had a 9.95 on Thursday night.
Yurchenko 1.5. She sticks it almost every single time she competes, and I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with this score because they've had a couple sticks in a row. Maddie set her up well for that 10. Let's see the replay one more time. Straight arms on the table, legs glued, opens, and she pulls up strong. Whether it's a 10 or not, it's going to be a huge score for Minnesota.
Raleigh is the only other regional that's going on right now. Auburn actually just started along with us, as well as Seattle is 2 hours later, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And right now, going into, after 3 rotations, it is a tie between Michigan and UCLA for those 2 spots.
Maya Bordas in the top right. Showing good rhythm, having to fight a little more on that landing.
Fight. But kind of that's what the postseason's all about, right? Sam, you got to give that extra or else someone else is going to do it for you.
You do. You have to sink in a little bit more. And the tough part is, especially on these landings, is you have more adrenaline because there's a little bit more pressure on the line. But you actually have to be more patient in situations like this.
Ooh, top left, Emily Cook finishing things off on vault for Minnesota. They're going to drop that score, but Gianna Gertis right now is the low with a 9.8. This should be a very solid vault rotation as Loper put up a 9.95 for the second straight meet. You can see the scores, 49.55, most likely going to be the final score on vault for Minnesota, which actually is better than they did yesterday and would reset their NCAA program high.
I think if Minnesota repeats what they did on Thursday, they have a ticket to NCAAs. But the fact that they're starting off even stronger, I think that they are just showing that they want it. They don't want any question marks.
Yeah, this is a real statement so far. It is going to put a ton of pressure on Cal and Arkansas if Minnesota can continue to put up these Oklahoma-like numbers that we've seen. I mean, the Sooners with a 198-175 yesterday. If Minnesota can come anything close to the upper echelon of 197, they are in great shape. And I'm sure Jenny Hansen would have to love the spot that they're in.
Bailey Lovett is in the bottom left for Arkansas. She has a really nice routine going so far. And as a reminder, Arkansas is not in the clear yet. They don't want to have to count a fall. So the back end of this lineup is really having to work through those nerves to stay in the game. Minnesota is arguably on their best event vault, and Cal is on their best event bar. So this is a really big rotation for those two teams in particular to get as many tenths as possible.
And technically, on the right side of your screen, Oklahoma on floor is on their worst event, even though they're 5th in the country. They're top 5 in everything. There really is no definition of worst when it comes to the Sooners. But if they can continue to put up these types of scores, they have gone 9-8-7-5 for Johnson, Woodard, and Fletcher, followed with a 9-9, and should be another great score coming up for Danielle Sievers.
And hopefully you saw her first pass was a full in, and that's new difficulty that they added back into her routine late in this season, which is pretty rare to see across the sport, especially for a freshman. She is having such an amazing year so far, and I can tell she's going to be a name that you're going to want to remember.
Kennedy Hambrick, even if Arkansas does not advance, she is in the running to potentially go as the individual all-around qualifier out of Norman. She's on the left side of your screen on beam, and such an important key to the Razorbacks if they're able to go in, and Jim Bax will get to Fort Worth.
And she had a really good day on Thursday. Put a very complete meet together. She looked dialed in and focused. They're going to want to see her repeat that here tonight.
And nothing below a 9-8 so far after Gamiao's 9-1 that Arkansas will certainly want to drop. On the right side, it's Jordan Bowers getting ready to go, following 3 straight 9-9s from Woodard, Fletcher, and Sievers for Oklahoma. And our first look tonight at the Big 12 newcomer of the year, Bowers.
I had a chance to speak with Arkansas's head coach, Jordan Weber, earlier today, and she said that they actually were excited to start on beam. It was an event that they've been familiar with. They did it already this season. Although they started off with a fall, they're really showing their grit here. Kennedy has another hit routine, so they have one more until they're in a clear and not having to count a fall.
It's kind of just the story of Arkansas, the resiliency this season. COVID-affected lineups, honestly, all the way throughout the year. And today, with that injury to Leah Smith on Thursday, we're not exactly sure how much we will see her. Terrific freshman all-arounder. Sam, they've just never hit their stride this season, and they're waiting to finally put it all together. If it's tonight, don't be surprised if they give Cal and Minnesota a run for their money.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's another reason that you might see some extra nerves from Arkansas on balance beam because they had to change their lineup. Leah Smith is not in the lineups right now. Her ankle has a sprain in it. They got x-rays right after the competition, and it was swollen. They're going to try and warm her up on vault and bars, but they're really unsure of what she's able to do.
Jordan Bowers finished another hit for Oklahoma with only Reagan Smith ready to go, and this is kind of going to be a victory lap in some ways on floor, although she can boost the total even more with potentially a 4th straight 9-9 plus coming in. And Amanda Ellswick on the left side getting ready for Arkansas. Jordan Weber calls her one of the unsung heroes of this team that does not get near enough attention. She's nominated her every week for SEC Specialist of the Week, and Her prayers have not been answered yet, but she's a beautiful bar and beam worker.
And this routine is really important.
Kennedy with a 9-9.
She's hit routines in important competitions before, so this is not new for Amanda. Head coach Jordan Weber said this was the event that she was actually hoping to see improvement from the first night of competition. She felt like they had a pretty shaky warm-up. So the message to the team going into this meet, not just on beam, but on all 4 events, was to be aggressive and to have better warm-ups. We all know if you warm up better, it usually translates well to the competition.
If Ellswick scores a 9-8 or higher, Arkansas would be ahead of Cal after 1 rotation. And let's also remember, the top 2 are the ones that make it, and what a hit, what a performance. Jordan Weaver, all kinds of fired up after Gamyao's fall. The gym backs are going to make this one a definite contest in Norman.
Wow, that was an incredible routine from Amanda Ellswick. We knew she had it in her, but I didn't know it could be that good. Check this out. Finishing back handspring, 1.5, soaks it up. Beautiful way for Arkansas to end. And I think they're almost going to give themselves a concussion there, hitting their head. They're so excited.
With what we've seen throughout the years, that might be the most fired up I've ever seen her after a routine. Usually she likes to keep that emotion inside, but it's a regional final. I mean, you got a spot at Fort Worth on the line.
Hey, I think sometimes when there's a little, we talked about this on Thursday, when there's a little adversity in the lineup, it forces everybody to elevate their game and to rise to the occasion, and I think that's what we saw from Arkansas as a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I think you're right. For Oklahoma, the anchor Reagan Smith, following Jordan Bauer's 9.95. At the moment, they'll drop Belle Johnson's 9.875 with a hit from Reagan Smith. And that happens really, really often.
And exactly as we expected, beautiful job from Reagan Smith.
Yeah, she's 12th in the nation on floor, second-team All-American this year, and Oklahoma doesn't play. And they certainly don't play in the postseason. They are taking nothing for granted, even though, of course, they're a heavy favorite to get to Fort Worth and go back to the Nationals. They finished runner-up last year to Michigan, lost by less than a 10th. And they have a little, maybe, revenge on their mind as well. Second rotation. Top left is Oklahoma. They are on Balt. Minnesota top right is on bars. So by the way, Allie Stern, who has a 10, is the leadoff for the Sooners. And that's a pretty good darn one to start. Down on the bottom left is Cal's Nevaeh D'Souza on beam. Arkansas on the bottom right leads off with Savannah Panizzi on floor.
Hey, vault is, we always talk about balance being the make or break event, but I actually think this year vault can be considered in that conversation as well. Minnesota left the event hot, so we'll see what Oklahoma can do because they have potential to rival Minnesota on that event as well.
D'Souza coming off that 9.775 as the leadoff on bars for Cal.
Cal is really looking to be sharp here. They've got some ground to make up, but I also want you to notice and really appreciate all of the little details in their beam routines, from their dance, from their transitions and skills to their dance. The artistry is just beautiful to watch.
Top left for Oklahoma is Kat Levasseur, tied for 8th in the country on vault. And she had her first collegiate 10 on her first vault, and that went back-to-back with Allie Stern. We are just waiting on her score to be placed. And Levasseur on the top left.
Yurchenko 1.5, just a small little hop. This angle is pretty tough to see how spectacular they are from the table, but they're doing a really good job of rising and lifting before they start twisting.
Allie Stern, you can see, started with the 9.9 in the leadoff for Oklahoma. They had a 49.55 yesterday to begin.
Nice. Look at that slow-mo. Huge amplitude off the table, opens up at the perfect time. You can see her chest vertical when she lands. Excellent technique on that vault.
Bottom right, getting some last instructions from Jordan Weber, Madison Hickey. And on the top left, once again, we get to see Jordan Bowers. Bowers on floor had a 9.95.
And she scored a perfect 10 on this event already this season. So we know she can do it. Check it out. Great entry onto that table. Opens up. Does she stick it? I'd say that's a stick. That was pretty dang good, if I do say so myself.
Sam, the Raleigh Regional Final just finished up. Michigan made it the #1 spot as expected. Maybe as not, though. Missouri topping UCLA and Iowa with a 197.425, and they will head to Fort Worth. What a season it has been for the Tigers.
Wow, incredible. We're gonna see a lot of, I say upsets, but a team like Missouri has been on the rise for some years now, so this is a remarkable feat for their program.
I think everybody would have penciled in Michigan at the beginning, but you also would have said, it's got to be LSU, right, as the second team? No, because LSU's eliminated in session 2. This is how crazy it can be in the regionals.
Really anything can happen, and I think that goes to show from that regional right there. And then when you talk about the Seattle regional, Stanford sneaking in there, I mean, incredible job after competing in the play-in. It's wild.
Arkansas just one of 3 unseeded teams to make it to the regional final as well. Maddie Jones, bottom right for the Gymbacks. My mistake, Madison Hickey on the lower right side. Don't want to take away any time from her. Maddie Jones will be next up.
And Maddie Hickey is new to the lineup. She was not competing on floor on Thursday. Leah Smith was, but they're having to do some lineup changes because she was unable to compete today, so that's why you're seeing the change there.
Oklahoma so far tearing it up on vault. A couple of 9.9s from Stern and Lavasser. Jordan Bowers' score came in at a 9.95, and now Danielle Sievers on the run up, top left on vault. Sorry, Olivia Troutman right there. Beautifully
that was incredible.
done. Let's take one more look.
Wow, check this out. Top left, Olivia Troutman. Her teammates set her up well. Opens it. Boom. She didn't even flinch. She knew she was sticking that vault. Wow. That's got to be a 10.
I'm not sure where the flaws were. Danielle Sievers with a 9.875 following up for Troutman. Should be a huge, huge score. And we'll find out. Danae Fletcher is the anchor on the top left, Oklahoma on vault. Bars for Minnesota, top right, Anna Loper getting set. Scores in 9.85 and 9.8 so far for Remlinger and Hooten.
Yurchenko 1.5. We saw her stick that on Thursday's competition, but still a nice Yurchenko 1.5. Still should be a good score. And I'd like to see those sticks from Cal in the bottom left, Alex.
Yes.
They're doing it.
That was huge. So far a 9.85 and a 9.875. And for Oklahoma, Troutman came oh so close to a 10-0, but 9.975 is the final score there. We're waiting on one to come in for Danae Fletcher, and then we will know what Oklahoma's most likely lead is going to be after half of the competition. Bottom right, this is Maddie Jones for Arkansas.
I just saw on the top right, Anna Loper hit another, as expected, really great bar routine. Good fault scores. I mean, they're going to have to possibly drop a 9.875. It's incredible.
It's incredible. It really is. And we see it meet in and meet out for Oklahoma, but just don't take it for granted. I mean, yes, it's expected, but it is absolutely spectacular every single time. Tira Salas on the top for Minnesota on bars as we wait on Loper's score. Waiting for Maya Bordas to get to go on the bottom left as well on beam for Cal. There's the score in for Williams for the Bears, 9.85. So this is once again a nice bounce back for Cal after they slipped up just a bit yesterday as well in their first rotation. So far so good for the Bears.
And this is Maya Bordas. She has beautiful form throughout this routine. Nice choreography.
Salas on the top with the dismount. Stuck it.
Minnesota doesn't want to give anything away. That's the vibe I'm receiving from them right now. Check this out. Look at the grit here. She opens her hips. She actually was a little bit too far forward, but the fact that she was able to make it work and not move those feet, I mean, that is sheer willpower right there.
And following up on a Loper's 9-9 on bars for Minnesota. Bottom right, Sarah Schaefer finishing out her floor routine. 9-7 is the score that Arkansas is looking to drop at the moment. So actually for Oklahoma, they dropped Danae Fletcher's 9.85 and had to count Danielle Seaver's 9.875, which means a 49.6 for the second straight rotation. And if you averaged it out, well, they're on pace right now for a 198.4.
Oh.
And let's remember, Sam, they still have bars coming up, and that's their best event. They're the best in the country at that.
And they are absolutely peaking at the right time. I know KJ Kindler is happy with the way things are panning out in today's competition. It's early, but I know she's happy so far.
Bottom left, Andy Lee gets ready to go for Cal. Coming off their first trip to nationals since 2018. It's amazing that they were honestly even able to compete last year, though being pulled off the floor. They had 18 minutes to get ready for the competition. Didn't even warm up vault when they went. And unbelievably, Maya Bordas was able to win the bars title.
And another stick from Minnesota. And no surprise here, it's coming from Lexi Ramler. These two, Lexi Ramler and Anna Loper, I can't say their names enough because they're still underrated. They are two of the best all-arounders in the country, and they're incredibly consistent. And again, she was a little off right there. It'll probably be a deduction for how low she made that squat, but the way that she was able to make it work, not move her feet, God, it just speaks volumes of the type of athlete she is.
Ramler's 5th in the country, and Loper is 7th in the country in the all-around. And actually, in the second round on Thursday, they tied the all-around. Both of them just in postseason form, as you would expect. So much experience there with the two fifth-years. I don't know what Jenny Hansen's going to do next year, but she's sure as heck going to appreciate what she has while she has it. Kennedy Hambrick, bottom right, the all-arounder for Arkansas.
Kennedy Hambrick is one of the athletes that if she hits this floor routine, it's going to be a big number. And again, they had a good rotation on beam, but they're going to want to try to build from that, and this is an opportunity right here.
Leah Smith actually went down right before Kennedy Hambrick, and she had an elongated wait time to even go up and perform her floor routine, and Hambrick got a 9-9. We asked her afterwards how she was able to do it, and she just kind of stayed in the zone, and they've dealt with adversity all season long. It's really nothing new. It's incredible to me, though, that she was able to perform to that level after what happened. On the left side, the anchor Maya Lazan getting final thoughts, waiting on Andy Lee's score. Maya Bortis's was a 9-9.
Kennedy finishing up with a double pike. Ooh, great save there. It's interesting, sometimes when you're a little tired on your floor routines, you actually go higher for your last pass because you don't want to land short. So I think that's what happened with Kennedy, is she didn't realize how much power she already had, landed a little bit on her heels, but like a pro, was able to do a big lunge and save it. Check it out. She sets it up nicely, but maybe is a little tired, so pulls a little bit too hard. Could have been a fall right there, but amazing job making that minimal deductions from that last pass.
And following the 60-year gymnast Sarah Schaefer's 9-9. So Oklahoma's definitely going to be in the lead. Minnesota put in a very representative bars rotation, 98.825 their score, 49.275 the rotation score for the Golden Gophers. And on the left side, it is Maya Lazan, the anchor for Cal.
And if Maya Lazan hits this, this could also be a really big opportunity for Cal to gain some more tenths back after that first rotation. Minnesota and Cal really just look on. So Cal is going to need to be at their best and then some on the rest of these events. Handspring layout.
This is the Golden Bears' best event. They're tied for 8th in the country on beam. Co-head coach Elizabeth Crandall-Howell told us that they've been great all year on this. Lazan actually had to take 6 weeks off because of a lower body injury, and she's got 9-9 or higher every single beam routine she's been back. And I think she just got another one.
That is huge for Cal. I mean, check out that hug right there. Head coach Liz Crandall says it all. That was a key performance for Cal. They are still in this. Maya Lazan sealing the deal here on her anchor routine. It's always an exclamation point when you can finish with a stick, especially on an event like balance beam.
And the score's building too. Williams 9.85, Bortis 9.9, Lee 9.95, and a great routine there for Maya Lazan.
And if they can drop a 9.85, that's going to be a big team beam score. And we talk about dropping scores. Arkansas hasn't had a fall on floor, but if they can drop the 9.7 here with this anchor routine, that's going to keep them in this competition as well.
Neither Arkansas or Cal can catch Minnesota in this rotation, but the Bears can certainly cut into the lead as Bailey Lovett finishes off floor for Arkansas. Right now, dropping a 9.7 from Madison Hickey.
And she did that as well as I think I've ever seen her do it. That was, again, clutch right here. And we got to remember, these are athletes. They feel the pressure. They're rising to the occasion. We're seeing the best of what could be. I'm excited to finish watching this meet because you really don't know. None of these teams can afford to count a fall and still make it. So everyone still has to be on their game. Even though Oklahoma has a cushion, they still got to be at their best too.
Yeah, halfway through, everybody is still in it. Let's get going once again. Arkansas starts on vault on the top left. That's Emma Kelly to begin things. Oklahoma goes to bars, the best team in the country on this apparatus on the top right. Bottom left is Cal. check that, Minnesota on beam on the left side, and then Cal is on the bottom right on floor. Minnesota's still in a good spot. Remember, you got to be in the top 2. But both Cal and Arkansas on their heels. A 10th and 3/4 is all that separates the 3, 4, and the 2 spot.
I'm watching the top right now, Danny Sievers, and it's really impressive to me that she's just a freshman and she's starting off one of their best events, the uneven bars. And we had a chance to ask KJ Kindler why. And she said, well, she proved to be very mentally strong and she has a really consistent dismount, and that's important for us. Yurchenko full in dismount and finds the landing consistent, exactly what KJ said she would do. They've been doing a better job finding the landings, and they're hoping to see improvement there again today.
Danielle Sievers coming off a 9-9 on Thursday. Top left on vault, this is Savannah Pennezy for Arkansas.
Ooh.
Certainly
Twisted
the one they're going to want to drop
really
there. Sam.
Early. Yeah, she twisted really early, right off the table.
Did she touch the table too? It's hard to see from that angle.
Yeah,
regardless, if Arkansas is going to stay in this, Sam, they're going to have to get rid of that score.
Yeah, they're absolutely going to want to drop that. It looked like she was just off from the beginning. Let's take a look one more time, top left, see what happened. You're going to see her twisting right from the table. Her right arm is bent, and she doesn't even get that straight before twisting. And that's really what causes the pike down and the landing as she goes to save it. She doesn't hit the table, so that saves a deduction there, but they will definitely want to drop that score if possible.
Maya Bordes finishes off in the leadoff spot for Cal, bottom right on floor. She is starting to take her gymnastics to another level now in the postseason. Seems like she's settling into this environment here in Norman in the second meet. Danielle Sievers for Oklahoma on bars had a 9.925, and now this is Kat Levasseur, top right. Well, Sam, Arkansas really knows the pressure's on now because the score for Emma Kelly came in at a 9.775. They will have to count that, and now it's on Schaefer going right now, Ellswick Hambrick, and then maybe Leah Smith.
She stuck her vault. Ooh. And of course, sometimes when you see a mistake on vault, someone landing short, you take that into consideration when you're going for your vault and overpower it a little bit too much. And they don't have the difficulty like Minnesota and Oklahoma do, so they are really wanting to be as perfect as possible on these landings. She does a good job popping off, great body position, and you can just see her chest is a little bit forward and she has to take a hop on the landing there.
And so Arkansas in real save-it mode at this point, trying to give themselves a chance going into the fourth rotation. That is going to have a lot to do with what Ellswick Hambrick and, again, Leah Smith sprained her ankle on Thursday on floor, and she was going to warm up vault, be in the lineup, but if they had 5 hits, she wasn't going to try it. And Sam, I wonder now, going through Jordan Weber's mind, I almost think you have to throw her out there for vault if she can physically go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know Jordan Weber well enough to know she wouldn't risk the health of an athlete for a score, but I'm hoping that Leah feels well enough to be able to do this vault here.
Exactly. Good full, though, from Amanda Ellswick. That's what Arkansas really needed.
Carey finishing double layout, big hop on the dismount. But this is an event where they do have some cushion.
Yeah. 9.925 for Sievers, Levasseur, and 9.875 for Oklahoma. One more look.
Check it out.
Right.
On this double layout, she doesn't flare her hips as much as I'd like to see her before the landing. Kind of pikes down to find it, but didn't necessarily need to do that. Getting a few corrections from coach there as we look to see Kennedy Hambrick in the top left.
There's a judges conference going on floor for Cal, which is why we're a little bit behind on that event. Okay, top left, Kennedy Hambrick.
And a nice job. Again, a little forward with the chest. She wasn't able to find that stuck landing.
But at the same time, a 9.8 for Schaefer and a 9.825 for Ellswick. But Leah Smith, again, is the last one in the lineup, and she has her jacket on, Sam. I can't imagine that she is going to try to vault. And that might be it for Arkansas.
Oh, no.
Oh wow, top right. Regan Smith falling down all the way to the mat for Oklahoma. You do not see that often at all.
No, incredibly uncharacteristic for Reagan. That does not happen often.
Wow, and Carrie Thomas's 9.8 is going to have to count. Again, Oklahoma was yeah, no, you're right. And Oklahoma was really impressive through the first two rotations, Sam, but it's not the first two rotations that count, it's all four.
Yeah. Oh, unfortunate. The back half of that routine was solid. And it's one of those mistakes, and as an athlete, you do this whenever you have a fall, where you land and you immediately know what went wrong right when you finish. And unfortunately, it's just a second too late. Let's see what happened here. It looks good, it looks good, it looks good. Wow, she must, it's hard to see from this angle. Maybe her dowel caught the wrong angle when she came over the bar, didn't quite get the dowel completely over, but it didn't look that far away where she couldn't have hung on.
Upper left for Arkansas, nobody seems to be ready to compete on vault, which means that might be the end of their rotation with 5 up and 5 count. Kennedy Hambrick had the high score for the gym backs at 9.875, but indeed, if that's what it is, then they are going to have to count a 9.525 for a score of 39, or rather, we'll have to wait and see exactly what it comes in at. 48.8 right now is what the rotation total is. So they'll, of course, be the leader in the clubhouse, the first to finish, but that is a huge hit to the gym backs who are already an underdog coming in. All right, let's go down to 3 now. On the top bars for Oklahoma, they'll get the lone spot on the top part of your screen. There's a few words of wisdom on the bottom right for co-head coach Elizabeth Crandall Howell. We are still waiting on some floor scores to come in at this moment. Reagan Smith has not posted for Oklahoma on bars either. And Donna Loper readying on the bottom left on beam for Minnesota.
We're looking at the back of Audrey Davis, which makes me think, I wonder if they switched their lineup so Audrey would go next. And Jordan Bowers is in that anchor spot now. I'm curious if they didn't want the freshman following a fall, because that's a lot of pressure. Again, we talk about, I'm not sure a team can make it out of regional finals counting a fall. So the next 2 Oklahoma gymnasts that go, it is crucial that they hit. Oh, nope, there's Jordan Bowers right there. So
they'll keep the same lineup. Yep. And Bowers, the Big 12 newcomer of the year, second team All-American on bars. If anybody in the country that's a freshman follows on beam, or rather on bars, it's one you want in Jordan Bowers.
Yeah, I would imagine she has no problem handling this pressure. It's been so fun to watch her throughout this season. She's got her game face on. She knows how to handle the pressure. Let's see what she's got today.
And Sam, just to put a bow on it, Leah Smith is officially a scratch for Arkansas. So 48.8 is their total on vault.
Nice routine for Jordan so far. Handstands are all vertical from what we can see. Another stuck landing from Anna Loper in the bottom left. Not only makes her routine, but she sticks the landing. Exactly what Oklahoma was hoping for in this follow-up routine.
Certainly trying to drop the 9.15 from Reagan Smith.
Check out this dismount one more time. Sets it up nicely, legs glued in the twist, sinks into the landing.
And a well-deserved hug from KJ Kindler. Thank you for keeping us on track, Jordan. And Audrey Davis, the terrific anchor, will now finish things off. She's number 2 in the country on bars.
That's not a bad athlete to have to put the pressure on. Number 2 in the country on this event.
So far for Minnesota on beam, it's gone 9.75 for Emily Cook. Gianna Gertis posted a 9.825 and then a 9.8 following that. Waiting on Loper's score as Abby Nyland readies. Loper's is in now, so it's a 9.9. And again, Minnesota trying to hold on to that number 2 spot behind Oklahoma. And if Audrey Davis on the top of your screen is able to hit, it is not going to be such a bad thing for the number 1 Sooners. They would have to count the 9.8 from Carrie Thomas, but that's it.
And I think if they're able to not count this fall on the uneven bars, it actually is good experience to have to go through this adversity in their competition before they get to NCAAs. Knowing and having the confidence in your team to handle little mistakes like that, I think is a really good thing. Not that you want them to happen, but it's good practice.
Remember I asked KJ Kindler specifically about that, Sam, about have you gone through enough adversity in your mind this season, because you don't want everything to be perfect, and this would only add to the docket for them.
Yeah, and I think I remember her cutting you off mid-question and her saying, yes, we have faced enough adversity. Wow. And that was the stick she was looking for at Big 12s. She gets it done today. When her best is needed, true champion right there.
Davis did have a 9.95 on bars on Thursday.
Check it out, double front with a half.
That'll
And
do.
her teammates are jumping like 3 feet in the air behind her.
So 3 feet in the air, that's like a quarter of what she went on her dismount right there. So that fall from Reagan Smith is going to go away for sure. As on the left side, you just saw Abby Nyland finish off her beam routine. And on the right side, Maya Lazon for floor. Cal, a 9.85 and then 2 9.9s from Perea and Clossy. This is where the Bears could really put some pressure on Minnesota. They are great on floor.
Yeah, I totally agree, Alex. This is their opportunity right now because they're finishing on vault. Minnesota will be finishing on floor. And Cal doesn't have the difficulty on vault that Minnesota does. So this is really their event right now to outshine and outscore Minnesota.
It just goes to show you how a team can grow throughout the season. They're actually ranked 15th in the country on floor, and it's their weakest event when you look at the NQS. But just coming off a 49.525 on Thursday, which was actually their highest in NCAA history as a program. So you can get that exact train rolling, and that's what they did on Thursday. They're continuing it right now, nothing below a 9.85.
I mean, their second gymnast up scores a 9.9. You are in a good place. Andy Lee is up next, and they're finishing with Grace Quinn, who has been so solid and consistent all season.
Okay, left side of your screen, though, we have to do our due diligence for Lexi Ramler. Give her the credit she deserves. Has a 10 on beam already in her career as she anchors off Minnesota.
Wow, and you know what? She was really crooked on that series. Adjusted very quickly in the air. No wobbles. Beam is actually the easiest event if you know how to work it, because you can be completely crooked and adjust in the air and pull it back on. It's not as easy to adjust on a vault, for example, if you're a little bit crooked in the middle of the air. That's why if you can handle the mental toughness of balance beam, it's actually your easiest event. And this was, you know, off from start to finish for Lexi, and I don't even think she wobbled one time. So impressive, but not unexpected for a veteran like Lexi Ramler.
And something to keep in mind, if Minnesota has the lead, at least for the 2 spot, for the last qualifying spot going into the 4th rotation, remember, they're going to floor, and they are the 2nd best team in the country on floor. And Thursday, they put up a 49.55 on that event. So it's definitely advantage Golden Gophers if that's how it all shakes out.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Alex. That's why this routine right here from Andy Lee is crucial.
Lee and then Grace Quinn in the anchor spot. But 3 straight 9-9s for Perea, Clousie, and Lazan.
So beautiful, that extension throughout this choreography. Absolutely stunning to watch.
So everyone is done so far. Lexi Ramler's score came in at a 9-9. So on beam for Minnesota of 49.25. So the 3 scores you see at the top, bars, beam, and vault, Oklahoma, Minnesota, Arkansas, that is the score after 3 rotations. We are just waiting on the anchor, Grace Quinn, on floor for Cal. And on Thursday, she posted her 7th straight score on floor of a 9.925 plus. She had a 9.925. And this is her only event, Sam. She is a floor specialist, and I am sure she has been chomping at the bit all day long to get out there in this type of situation and try to give her team a real chance at going back to nationals.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Alex. I think a lot of people, if you didn't compete as a gymnast in college, might assume doing 1 event is way easier than doing 4 events, but it's actually a lot more nerve-wracking to only do 1 event versus all 4. So you're waiting all day, you might get cold, you really have a lot more pressure on this 1 routine. So someone like Grace knows how to handle it. She's been doing 1 event all season long. I'm sure she can handle it, but just going into it, knowing that it's a little bit harder for those 1 event athletes.
Grace was just named first team All Pac-12 for the first time in her career. It was on floor, of course, as a senior.
Front layout to a Rudy, nice combination pass to get things going. And remember, on the first day of competition, they had a fall, so the pressure was really on Grace in this anchor spot. Today, she doesn't necessarily have that pressure, but if she can score above a 9-9, that's really going to help them going into their last event.
And already you can see, without dropping that 9.85 in the leadoff spot from Maya Mortis, Cal is sitting in the 2nd spot. The only question is, what will the lead be over Minnesota?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it again. This routine is really important for Cal, and she can score big for them. She needs a big number here.
And they need a lead, Sam, because they just don't have the difficulty that Minnesota had on vault that puts them ahead of the Golden Bears on that apparatus.
Finishing double pike, nails it. She did that routine the best she could. Wow.
She has been just absolutely automatic this season on floor. Where would Cal be in this competition in this season without Grace Quinn?
Check it out. Last pass to seal the deal here. Double pike. And again, that 4-incher makes me nervous because your heels can get stuck in it, but she handles it well. Double pike. Her eyes are glued to that floor way before her feet hit. She was not giving away any tenths there. Great job, Grace Quinn.
This is going to be an absolutely massive floor rotation, exactly when the Golden Bears needed it. all eyes should certainly be on Cal and vault. What can they do? Because this is an area where they don't have as much difficulty, so the execution is going to be huge. You see that Minnesota was on top after the second rotation. Cal overtakes, just a tenth though, separating the Golden Bears and the Golden Gophers. Both teams golden, and they're hoping to end the season that way. So top left, that's where Cal is on vault. The top right, Arkansas will go to bars and finish things out. Bottom left is beam for Oklahoma. That's a great event for them. And then floor on the bottom right is Minnesota, where again, they're the second best team in the country. You could potentially be on 10 watch for Anna Loper, Lexi Ramler, Maya Hooten for sure, who's their anchor. Oh yeah, was not gonna leave out Maya.
But take a look quickly at the top right. This is Leah Smith, who didn't do her vault because she sprained her ankle in the previous competition. Excited to see her back out here competing on bars in their last event. And she's such a good leadoff for them. Oh, wow. Incredible routine from Leah Smith. Exactly what Arkansas wanted to do to finish things off here.
Yeah, and to do that on a sprained ankle.
And a lot of times it's hard to stick when your ankles are hurt, but she has no problem right there. You can see how excited her coach, Chris Brooks, is when she was able to dial that in.
That's awesome that she was able to go out there and perform when Arkansas needed it the absolute most. The leadoff on floor for Minnesota is Emily Cook. On the bottom right part of your screen, coming off of a 9.875 in that exact position. The lineup is unchanged for Jenny Hansen as they look to get back to nationals.
Yeah, when we did coaches calls, it was interesting that a lot of these top teams, Jenny Hansen, KJ Kindler, they all were saying they were not going to change their lineups. They didn't feel like they had enough room or separation between the teams where they could play around. And I think that speaks to the parity in the sport right now. Oh, Maya Bordas
in the top left.
Yeah, we saw the same thing, Alex. She did a huge Yurchenko full, but it was a pretty significant hop back there. They are really going to need to settle those landings for a chance to advance.
And it looks like, I believe Sam Cal made a last-minute lineup switch because Bordas was supposed to lead off, but Andy Lee was actually the first vaulter. And so we'll have to see if that paid off. Nina Schunk, then Maya Lazan, Nevaeh D'Souza, and Milan Klasi. Jenna Dunscore just came in as the leadoff on Oklahoma for bars, a 9-9. And it is going to be all eyes on the top left and the bottom right. Minnesota will know exactly what it needs to do because Cal will finish first being on vault.
Good Yurchenko full. Hard to see their landings. Liz Crandall, one of their head coaches, is standing right there, but good job off the table.
It's good enough for the Bearhead.
And I've been keeping an eye on Olivia Troutman in the bottom left, and this is a phenomenal routine. So solid, very sharp on her landings. If she nails this dismount, it's going to be a big number for Oklahoma.
Oh, she sure did.
Olivia Troutman is going to be gunning for the all-around title at NCAA's. Mark my words.
Oklahoma coming off of 49.475 on beam yesterday with a 198.175, which, by the way, was the 50th 198 in program history, which is more than 20 plus any other program. Here's Lazan, top left for Cal.
Another big Yurchenko full there.
As we wait for these Bear scores to come in. Yes, Sam. Yep. Top right.
You know, balance beam is a tough event to end on. And again, even though Oklahoma had a sizable lead heading into this last event. I'm not sure they could count a fall and still go. So they are looking to get 5 hit routines to really solidify their spot at the NCAAs.
Bottom right, Gianna Gertis for Minnesota on floor, following up Emily Cook's 9-9. You would imagine, Sam, them being so good on floor, if they just do average, it should be enough to make up that 1/10.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alex. And for them starting with a 9-9 on floor, you can see which direction they're headed. Yurchenko 1.5. Again, big off that table, but a pretty big hop on the landing as well.
And that was Nevaeh D'Souza. So actually what Cal did was they had Madeline Williams go first, then followed by Bordas, then Andy Lee. So it's 9-8-2-5, 9-8-5, 9-8 are the scores at the moment on vault for Cal.
Sarah Schaefer finishing up her bar routine. Another hit for them on bars there.
That could be the end of a storied Arkansas career for Sarah Schaefer, battling through injuries, her 6th season in Fayetteville. And it's one that I don't think the fans in Northwest Arkansas are going to forget for a long time. There's highs and lows to the NCAA regionals. 2 teams in the regional final are going to make it. 2 teams will go home. You can always qualify as an individual, though that does not happen today. That score comes from Thursday. So everything is focused on the team here.
Yeah, and Oklahoma is on beam.
No surprise there with Dunn and Troutman, a 9-9 and a 9-9-5. Cal closing it out on the top left on vault.
But we have to watch bottom right, Lexi Ramler on floor. This is going to be good. Opens with a 1.5 to double. No problems there. Oh, man. Kennedy Hambrick unfortunately fell on her Jaeger in the top right. Just a little too far away from that bar.
Had a really good bars rotation going too, Sam, before that, so maybe they can drop. Nothing below a 9-8 at the moment. Ramler bottom right. These are huge routines for Minnesota, trying to go to Fort Worth. They can overcome a 10th lead for Cal. Gianna Gertis had a 9-8-5.
Really good finish from Kennedy Hambrick. Unfortunately, with the mistake that she made, she had to start her routine over from scratch. So you wish you could just start over, because her second try was a really, really good step dismount and all. Take a look at the bottom left here. This is Audrey Davis, one of my favorite athletes to watch on this event. Oh, ooh. A little off on that back handspring layout. Gets it back on track here.
I will say, for how good Oklahoma has been in this regional final and even in this second round, KJ Kindler is going to have some things to work on before Fort Worth.
Yeah, it hasn't been perfect, and I actually think that's good. I think if you're too perfect now, you really want to be perfect at the NCAA finals, and it's hard to predict that. You don't want to build in mistakes, but I don't think it's a bad thing that they're not a 10 out of 10 every single routine they go. But after saying that, seeing them drill those landings, it's really close. They are a phenomenal team. I've really enjoyed watching them so far this season.
And it looks like they are going to be on a bus in 2 weeks. All 6 scores are in on vault for Cal. And so it's a rotation score of 49-125. What you see right there is the number that Minnesota needs to beat, 197-3. So as you look at the scores as they shift in the top right, remember they have to make up 1/10. And so far, they are doing that and then some with scores of 9-9, 9-8-5, and 9-9 for Lexi Ramler, with Hallie Remlinger in the bottom right on floor for Minnesota.
And huge,
Arkansas finishing out the competition well.
Yeah, huge bar team from Maggie O'Hara.
And that's also going to be the end of the road for O'Hara. Started her career at Michigan, came to Arkansas, and I'm not sure there was a gymnast that more embodied what Jordan Weber wanted to see in the rebuild of her program. She has been absolutely sensational and integral in what she's trying to instill.
Yeah, Jordan told me it's an athlete that they're definitely going to miss. Her and the other 6th year, 5th year seniors, they have a good group there. They're going to be sorely, sorely missed on that Arkansas team.
And O'Hara, the first regular season All-American in program history last year. She did it on bars, her best event, and she finishes out her career on the same.
Take a look in the bottom left. This is Carly Woodard on balance beam, and I really enjoy her style of balance beam. It's aggressive, it's sharp. She has great posture throughout this routine. And she does a good job of following what I call the 3 rules of beam. Keep your eye on the end of the beam, find your arms, and go to your home base, that landing position. And on top of that, she does an amazing job of working out of her skills right into her dance, really commanding the beam, which is the mark of a great beam worker.
As Anna Loper gets ready on the right side and Carly Woodard finishes off on the beam, the Auburn Regional just went final. And Sam, I'm gonna say a score, and I don't want you to think it's like April Fool's Day or something. Florida finished the regional final with a 198.775, the third best score in NCAA history. Auburn qualifies as well, finishing just ahead of Kentucky with a 197.775.
Incredible numbers there. We knew it was going to be a high-scoring regionals with Auburn being at home and Florida on a hot streak like they've been. But I don't know, watching Oklahoma, they are catching fire as well. Look at the dismount from Carly here. Side aerial into that full. She knew it. That's going to be a big number.
And again, they're trying to drop Levasseur 9.825. For Reagan Smith, who is the best on beam in the country, looking for a bounce back herself after falling on bars. I would imagine there's a bit more motivation. And Anna Loper on the right side is always on 10 watch. Her and Maya Hooten to finish things off for Minnesota, trying to get the Golden Gophers to Fort Worth. They've advanced to the NCAA championships 5 times, trying for their 6th. Sorry, Sam.
That 2.5 looks great. I was going to say there's scoring momentum. Check out the scores. We're looking at beam scores from Oklahoma, but next time it flashes to Minnesota, check them out because the scores are rising for them, and Maya Hooten has scored a 10 before.
So you see the scores for Cal. Nothing above a 9.85, but also nothing below a 9.8. So very consistent. They kind of did the best they could on vault, to be completely honest, with the difficulty, but Minnesota is just besting them every single gymnast, and that's a problem right now for the Golden Bears.
Reagan Smith on the left. And I know after bars, no one likes to make a mistake, but an athlete like Reagan who loves gymnastics, who loves this sport as much as she does, she wants to come back for redemption right here. They don't even need her score, but she wants to prove she can do it. Tiny aerial. Almost went to wobble there and put her foot down. Great work from her. They're already at a 198.1. But they know that this meet right here, although their #1 priority was to qualify to NCAAs, they want to put up as high a score as possible to show everybody that they are capable of contending for another national title. And with those landings I saw on beam today, man, it's not easy to finish on beam. And look at that hug with her and KJ. Great embrace there. They're at home, of course, so even more special feeling doing it in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, what fall on bars is what Reagan Smith is thinking right now. What a finish for the Sooners here at home in the regional final.
And great fight, good comeback from her tonight.
So following up Carly Woodard's 9.95. If Anna Loper's score comes in at a 9.675, Minnesota will pass Cal. And Loper with a 9.95, that'll do it. Minnesota cannot be caught, and it is a return trip for the Golden Gophers and their 6th in program history. Jenny Hansen has this team rolling at the right time, and this is really the only way to close out this competition here with one of certainly my favorite floor routines in the entire country. Oklahoma's score comes in a 198.25. They're 51st now, 198 plus. So they go 198 or higher, Sam, both meets here in the Norman Regional. And is that the style, the flair, the perfection? Crown her
and they know it.
And crown the Golden Gophers. A trip to Fort Worth.
Yep. Incredible. Great teamwork from start to finish from this team, and I was worried they were going to have to repeat their performance from Thursday, and not only did they do that, but it actually was better than their performance on Thursday. I'm not quite sure what the team scores were, but just looking at them, their intensity, those stuck landings, they did not want any question marks today, and they're going away with a trip to NCAAs.
Minnesota put up a program best in the NCAAs, 49.55 last time out. They are already guaranteed a 49.525, no matter what Maya Hooten did there. And she just put up a huge number. Jordan Bowers knows in her first year she's going to Fort Worth and a chance for a national championship. Could be the Sooners' 5th in program history. 2014, 2016, 2017, 2019, including 10 top 3 finishes. I think the Golden Gophers know it as well. Maya Hooten just off the perfect 10. A 9.975 is her final score. And Minnesota with a 197.825 Thursday and a 197.725 in the regional final. Sam, it was chalk when it was all said and done. Cal certainly put up a great fight. Arkansas was a great story coming into the regional final, but in the end, it was the experience and the talent that the Sooners and the Gophers possess.